So just gone by is the Acting Director General of the National Service Authority, Felix Gyamfi, outlining what he intends to do following a letter that was released from the presidency ordering for investigation to begin on the rot that was put out. The letter indicated that President Mahama orders investigation into the National Service Authority ghost name scandal after the adherence of arrears. So it says that President John Dramani Mahama has ordered the National Investigation Bureau, NIB, to conduct immediate investigation into the operations of the National Service Authority under the previous government following the discovery of up to 81,885 suspected ghost names on the payroll of the authority. Goes on and on and on, which I also remind you that somewhere last year, December 2024, the National Service, this report was actually petitioned, the OSP was petitioned by the a body that was also seeking or helping the Fourth Estate that was seeking to actually air the documentary that was exposing the rot. Remember that the National Service Authority management decided to put an injunction on the airing, and so they were not able to air. But following which, the Media Foundation for West Africa went ahead to petition the OSP to investigate or proceed with the investigation, which also aided the media to do the discussion on the matter. We've been joined via Zoom by Sulemana Braimah, who is the Executive Director for the Media Foundation Africa, to share his views on that following all that has happened from last year on this expose to date. Thank you very much for joining us here on Newsbeat. Mr. Braimah, you're welcome. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Right. Well, this is where we are with the National Service Authority expose. The presidency has spoken about it, and following which he's ordered for the investigation to proceed. We've heard the Acting Director General also speak about on his plans. Now, when he was speaking, he made a point. He said a new system was put in place at the authority. Then it was a scheme in 2017. I want to assume that that was with the assumption of the new government. When you actually went through the exposés, did you, come to a conclusion or a reason for a need for a new system to be instituted?
Well, I think that from time to time, institutions certainly have to update their systems or upgrade their systems. And whilst the team at the Fourth Estate here was doing the investigations, they basically were relying on what was available in terms of the system that was in place, rather than going back beyond 2017, which will be about 7 or 8 years ago, to look at what system was in place and to check whether there was a need for the current system that is being used. What I can say is that the current system has a lot of loopholes. I don't think it is robust enough. And it is on the basis of that I think the acting DG may have to hasten slowly. I was with him on another platform last night, and I listened to him whilst he was speaking a while ago. Yes, this is someone who was with the system, was with the scheme. It's not as if he was appointed from outside the Secretariat to take that job. He was in the system. As far as I am told, he was a district, head of a district of the National Service scheme, and now authority. So yes, I would grant him the benefit of the doubt that this is somebody who would know a lot more about the service and how things work. But in the same vein, people may then begin to question that, was he aware of these things? If he was, did he speak up or not? And if he wasn't, would that be real? Would that be real that a district officer wouldn't know that these things are happening? Because it's so monumental, the numbers are so huge, and the scheme is so broad. And some of the things he's talking about, GTech and schools don't have to submit their data directly. It may help, but that may not be the solution. I mean, if people want to go and bypass the system. I think that people can always do that. Of course, it all comes down to leadership. And I think that the previous leadership really failed the system. Either they failed or they deliberately wanted to cook the scandal that we are witnessing today for their own benefits.
So you actually think that, well, he has been in the system before. I remember he used to collaborate with us, maybe as a PRO, I'll have to check, of the National Service Scheme at the time. So he has been in the system, but I'm not sure he was within a position where his contribution would have gone far to make changes. And maybe I'm also seeking for us to do a comparison. If the old system was more robust, because you're saying that the current system in place is not as robust. Absolutely.
I think that it really comes down to leadership. Even if there was no IT system, we had people like Professor Kwesa White, Mr. Kwagwenu, who were once leaders of the place.
Yes.
And I don't think that we witnessed things like this until in 2014, when there was a similar scandal of a lesser proportion, I should say, because what we are witnessing now is really quite astronomical in terms of the numbers and the monies involved. So it comes down to leadership, and we picked up this story. I mean, we don't work with National Service Authority or National Service Scheme, so to have been able to investigate this matter, have all the data, all the records, and so on and so forth, means that we were dealing with people within the system who were worried and who were not happy with, the kind of development that was ongoing and the amount of monies that the state was losing. So that is why I say, well, it's important that he picks up the issues, look into them quite carefully, but I think he should hasten a bit slowly. Talking about GTech and accreditation and so on and so forth, sometimes it may sound as if doing a national service is allowing a student to do, or a graduate to do national service is a favor. I don't think that is a favor. In fact, if it is not by law, I'm sure there are a lot of people who would have avoided doing national service. And the colleges of education that he talks about in terms of the accreditation defaults, I have a bit of understanding about these GTech processes, and sometimes it's not the fault of the schools. Sometimes the schools don't have the liberty to employ. So, for example, if there's no clearance for a school to employ the required number of staff, the required qualified staff, and so on and so forth, how do you blame the school for not being up to date with their GTech accreditation?
Right.
So I think it would require some level of conversation, some level of engagement with all the stakeholders to understand what the issues are, and then be able to prefer what an appropriate and robust solution would be.
Right.
But
just for the record, so I was actually right. So Felix was actually the PRO for the scheme at the time, 2012, 2013, that period, during Mills's administration.
Yeah.
So going forward, you are saying that he should hasten slowly, but we also want to also run as fast as possible. So how should he reconcile, a slow pace and a fast pace to get us results?
I think he talks about an audit, and that is something that we recommended in our petition to the OSP and even to ORA, that under the circumstances, it is important to have a forensic audit done.
Yeah.
Because we know when we started the investigations and started putting things out, there were all manner of attempts to tamper with the system, to delete documents. We had instances where records that we had, later we noticed that dates and other things were being changed within the system. So it will be important for a forensic audit to be conducted to know when certain things might have been deleted or changed and by who and all of that. I think that can be done. And that would be a very critical element in going forward in terms of the decisions that have to be made and the systems that have to be put in place.
Right.
He talks about the consultant having engaged and letters that have been written, that were written and all of that. I don't think that is the way forward.
Okay.
The way forward is to proceed with it, get the findings, the recommendations, adopt a system that would work, and then make sure that the loopholes are clearly blocked. That, for me, is the way out.
Right. I'm grateful, Sulemana Braimah.